Good morning, everyone. It is Saturday, which means it's time for yet another Salty Saturday morning. I am the producer of the Salty Nerd podcast, Matthew Kadish, coming back from a very long hiatus of holiday goodness. But welcome to the first Salty Saturday of 2023. We have our expert panel of nerds with us today, starting with Matt Vader74, coming at you with a brand new webcam.
Yeah, I'm looking high def now.
High def, yeah.
High def. Elgato face cams. Like, I don't know if the world is ready for me in 1080p or whatever the hell it's called. It's like, because I'm hideous. You can like read the buttons on my hat.
I can see every pore on your face.
I know, dude. Ugh, God,
Did you say 1080?
Yeah, that's what they
Oh,
said.
welcome to 2010, man.
I know, right? I think I can go higher. I don't know, but whatever.
It's 4K or bust, buddy.
Nobody needs to see this awesomeness in 4K.
I need to see every beard hair.
Count every whisker. Yeah.
Speaking of beard hair, joining us again is Odin from OMB Reviews. Hail Allfather, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you as always for having me back. It's always fun. It's something I look forward to talking because it's right at the perfect time with baby Thor's nap time, and so it's a ton of fun. So I can't wait to talk about the things that we're going to talk about today.
And joining us for the first time is a longtime participant of the show, Zax, who has his own crazy YouTube channel where he reviews Indian movies and stuff like that. Zax, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. I've been a fan for a long time. Been in the Discord with you guys forever, and appreciate you having me on. And nice to meet you, Odin.
Nice to meet you as well.
So, Zax, how does it feel to be the only participant without a beard?
Well, I'm working on it. I shaved yesterday, though, so it doesn't take too long to start coming through. So hopefully by the end of the show, I have something to show for it.
That fast.
Hopefully by the end.
Just by our mere presence is, it's going to naturally grow for you.
Yeah.
Absorb the testosterone.
Brian from the Popcast is usually joining us, but he is with his family in a remote area where basically a winter storm knocked out their internet yesterday.
Oh, no.
So he said that he might not be able to make it today based off of whether or not the internet's back up and running. So if he does decide to join us, we'll just pop him in. But for now, it is a 4-person panel that we're going to be talking about all types of stuff. But real quick, Vader, for the people who maybe haven't been watching our channel, we had a big announcement over the New Year holiday. You want to fill the audience in on what that was?
Well, you're dumping this on me? Wow.
Yes.
So we picked up the keys last week, and we're painting walls, and we're prepping a brand new studio business here in Las Vegas. I don't know how in depth you want to go with that, with everything, but we should be open in like 3 to 4 weeks, I'd imagine.
Probably March.
But I think we'll be like have everything going. But I don't.
Well, we still got a lot of stuff to set up. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how to edit anything, and he's got to teach me. And it's it's gonna be fun. But we're deep in paint and blue tape and rollers, and we're ordering all the stuff, and we're opening a business, guys. We're opening a podcast business here in Las Vegas, and it's going to be
awesome, man.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And anytime somebody comes to town, we not only want, but we expect you to come knocking on our door and say hi. So it's going to be an interesting thing because we're all working on our full-time jobs and doing this as well. So it's a lot of long hours and but it's worth it. I think it'll be super fun and a really crazy learning experience. So
that was our big thing over the holidays is basically, so we're kind of brushing the rust off today because even though we've been releasing content, it was all content that we recorded ahead of time. And so over the course of December, we basically did nothing. And I got COVID over December. And so I was knocked out for 2 weeks. And so
2 weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Weekly.
I know, right? I know.
I was mowing the lawn by day 3.
I know, right?
Well, I'm a delicate snowflake. I don't know if you know this about me. So Jude and I both got COVID, and we were basically quarantined for the first half of December.
Oh, that's right. Because I went on vacation with my wife and some friends. We went to New Orleans, and when we got there, I'm getting texts that Alex, Jude, and Matt all had the Rona, and I'm like,
Whoa.
Oh my God. Because we did our end of the year dinner just like a few days prior to that. I'm like, if I get this now, and I have to be cooped up in our hotel room for the entire week we're in NOLA.
Worst place to be
It
too
would
for that.
not be good. Not be good. But yeah.
Because they
it was-
only
Yeah,
just
I blame
this year.
I blame Alex and his petri dish of kids.
Yeah, for sure.
Infecting us. I'm 100% sure it was all his fault. But yeah, we're opening up a studio. We just closed on the lease the last week of December, so we got the keys last Wednesday, and we're in the process of trying to get the studio like all built out and get all of our equipment in there and all that good stuff. But real quick, I want to give a shout out to all the people in chat, and of course our MVPs. The Astro Nerd Boy still has not been dethroned for his top super chat of $100. Fluffy Panda is still our most consistent, highest donator, and our top patron, as always, is Nick from Backyard TARDIS. I want to give a shout out to all those who are joining us in chat. Penny, good to see you. Quantum Cat 76, Shadow Dragon, Joker Voice, hashtag Keep Talking. Anthony Mark, good to see you, Anthony. Really Old Movies, Zach's, of course, is in there, so his OMB reviews. Mr. Farnsworth, Keely Chow, 52 movies a year. Thank you all for joining us. The lovely Sherry is here as well. Whiskey Jack, War Monkey, Scotty Dub, who we'll be getting to more in a minute. Thank you all for being here today. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Oh, the Astro Nerd Boy is here too. Just gave you a shout out for your hugely generous donation. And Craig Daniels, thank you all so much for being here. Art to the Icky just joined as well.
Nice.
You guys are awesome. Thank you all for showing up today.
It's a pretty good group of people there.
Yeah. We're going to start off with some super chats. So Joker Voice for $5. Hail Salty Nerd Podcast and happy 2023. Congrats on the studio. That's awesome. Oh, and just to clear the record, I am not preggers. Hashtag Keep Talking. Yeah, I think DC Comics had a thing where the Joker got pregnant, so he pulled a Schwarzenegger.
I didn't go too deep into that, but that was like super weird. Comic books are dead, man. They're just dead. I don't even bother.
Mainstream comics are pretty much like just woke nonsense nowadays. It's weird. But thank you for the super chat, Joker. We always appreciate your help. And Scotty Dubs.
Sorry, dude.
Scotty Dubs for $19.99 with no comment, but very generous, sir. Thank you so much. We really appreciate the support. And I believe you had a comment in here. Let me see if I can find it. Yes. Happy New Year 2023 to the saltiest nerds. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. All right, guys. So let's get into the show. What do you say?
Yes.
So first and foremost, Gunn debunks some DC EU rumors that are flying around. So basically, there was a Hollywood Reporter article or a Variety article about The Rock, which we're going to talk about in a minute, that spread some misinformation, according to Gunn, at least via his Twitter, which was basically that the rumor is that Wonder Woman, the character, is not going to be involved in the DCEU for at least the first 3 years of Gunn's proposed plan. And basically, the future slate of DC projects is based around a 3-year vision. So Gunn came out and said, fake news. My plan is going to cover 8 to 10 years. And Wonder Woman is most definitely going to be involved in the first 3 years. Whether or not that Wonder Woman will be played by Gal Gadot is still up in the air. But the confirmation is that we know for a fact that a non-Henry Cavill young Superman movie is going to be the thing that kicks off this interconnected universe. And the Joker and the Batman sequels that are completely non-related to this are going to continue. The real question now is Ezra Miller going to retain the role of the Flash going forward? And what exactly the role of the proposed TV series like The Penguin and Peacemaker are going to play in Gunn's vision? Is he going to do a full reboot where everything is wiped off the plate? Or is he going to try to salvage some of this stuff and incorporate it? So, Matt Bader 74, what do you think of these rumors? And do you like what Gunn's doing with the DC?
Well, I don't know what Gunn's doing with the DC, so I don't know if I like it yet or not. But it all seems pretty weird and crazy to me. the Batman stuff is the Batman stuff just completely separate. There's
Yeah.
and so that's the sparkly vampire guy Batman, right?
Mhm.
And
Pattinson,
then and then there's the Joker movie with Lady Gaga playing Harley Quinn coming out
Mhm.
sometime, and those are completely separate. So that's like 3 different separate DC things that are completely out there. And then there's the DCU that Gunn is in charge of, right? Or does he have stuff to do with those other properties too?
No, those 2 properties, Joker and the Batman, are completely separate.
Completely separate. So Gunn has like, okay, it's so weird to me, And then you got the Flash movie coming out, which I think I don't know if I don't have any interest in watching this train wreck. I really don't, and I feel like he's just going to. I feel like he's almost going to do this thing where there's like multiple Earths and stuff, which I think would be comic book accurate, I guess. But I don't know how he's going to pull it all together. How can we have some of Snyder's characters still playing the same people and other characters not? It doesn't make any sense. If Gal Gadot comes back as Batman, people are going to want Henry Cavill as Superman. You know what I mean?
Gal Gadot as Batman. That's an interesting casting choice.
Is that what I said? Did I say that? But whatever. You know what I mean. It's very confusing. I feel like it's just all a big mess right now. Everything's like been put in a hat and they're shaking it up, and Gunn just like went on his little retreat and threw it out on the table and saw what came out. So I don't know. I think it's too soon to actually really have a huge opinion on all this. So I guess we'll see what happens. I think they're announcing some stuff in another month, later this month or something, about what's going to go down. So
probably.
Who knows?
Odin, do you think it would be better for them just to wipe the slate clean and start fresh? Or, a lot of these deals were in place before Gunn was named head of DC Studio, so he was kind of stuck with the Batman and the Joker stuff. And we got Shazam, Aquaman, and Blue Beetle still coming out, not counting the Flash. And they scrapped the Batgirl movie. So the real question here is how are these things going to fit into Gunn's larger vision, do you think?
That's the ultimate question, and I think that no matter what he does, someone at the top needs to actually start to do something. And I know that some are arguing that it already has started to happen with projects being canceled, with new standards being set. But I think what Matt was saying makes just so much more clear the issues that they have going on, because it's so confusing, right? You have Joker in its separate universe. You have the Batman in its own separate universe. You have then the DCEU films. You have the Nolan films that had existed. I mean, there's all these different DC properties, and there's all that confusion. And the reason why I don't necessarily think Gunn is the best person for it is because I don't really like what he's been doing with what he has gotten. I mean, I look at Suicide Squad, and then they do The Suicide Squad, which was already confusing because it was like, again, that question of, is it a remake, reboot, etc., with the same characters, or what's going on with, like, it was very confusing. And it's just, I don't think he's going to be able to really, he's not going to dispel any of my concerns for it. And the Flash film is really dead on arrival, and it has been for a long time, even before all the Ezra Miller stuff, because it was already going to be a cluster because of everything else already going on with all the different properties, all the different projects, the different directions, people who are, wanting the Snyderverse style, others that want something completely different.
Odin, it's okay, Odin, because he's in therapy. So
yes.
we have to give him a chance now because he's trying to improve his life.
Oh.
So it'll be okay. So, yeah.
Okay. Oh, yes, of course, yes. And that makes everything better, especially with the writer of Birds of Prey writing the film. So it's just, again, it's a mess all the way around. So if it were me, I would think, yes, they need to wipe the slate clean, but they need to wait probably a minimum of 5 years. And I know that they're not going to do that because they're looking at just the money that they could be making, and everything just works in Hollywood much more quickly these days than maybe it would in the past. But if they had like a 5-year, just like, all right, we need to get to the table and we need to actually come up with a plan, then I think I would have some confidence and faith in what they could do. But if their goal is to basically go MCU and say, oh, we're going to do multiverse. We're going to do, right, this multi-dimension stuff. And that's what's going to help save everything because it's going to make things somehow make sense. And then we can change characters and change casting and all this stuff. If they think that's going to be the way, that's very lazy writing. And so, at least in the way it's going to be presented based on what we know. So I don't think he's going to be able to save it.
So, Zax, what do you think of James Gunn's 8 to 10 year plan, and how do you think he's going to incorporate Wonder Woman into it? You're muted, Zax.
I think that for him, in the past when he's come up with these ideas, I thought this is a horrible idea, like the Suicide Squad. Why would you do that movie again? We just saw that movie; it wasn't great. And then for Peacemaker, what an idea for a character to make a show out of! And it turns out I loved Peacemaker. I liked the Suicide Squad, and so as much as it doesn't sound like a great idea to me, I'm starting to trust his vision of what he wants to put out there, at least in terms of the style of movies and TV shows that he does. So I don't know how that will work with a Wonder Woman, for example, but if he's willing to put people in charge who he could trust with those roles, the big three, who can at least be respectful to those characters and not deconstruct them and not have them be a joke, which is going to be big because he's very jokey, but at the same time, he has the characters work together pretty well in Guardians. Like we see that crew together. They all respect each other. They joke and they have fun, but there's that mutual respect. And I think that's big for him. For Wonder Woman, I don't know what you do with that. I don't know why you get rid of Gal Gadot. You could get rid of everyone else, but keep her if you want. Caval's already gone, but her character doesn't really age. So she could still be, they could jump 20 years ahead. They could do a movie, World War II if they wanted to with her. And that would all work. But I think what he's going to do is he's going to finish off what he's got right now, because on his plate, he's got mostly trash. And so he is going to have to get people to eat that. However, he has to get people to eat that, whether that's the studio or us. And I think for the Flash movie, that's what it is. He wants us to eat. We're going to have to eat that movie. And I think the Esmeralda character is going to finish itself, because I think he's going to die in that. And I think he always was going to die in that, or at least for the last year. And so they want us to go see it, not knowing he's out, so that we're surprised when he dies. And that's how I think he's going to clean that up. And as for the reboot stuff, I guess he's talked about starting from scratch with Superman. Not quite origin story, but when he's working for the Daily Planet, I wouldn't mind seeing that. And it's all about who he trusts around him and whether or not they're there to help him or to sink him. And I don't know if that's clear yet at WB, if they want to help him or sink him. So that's where I'm at with it. I'm going to wait and see, and I'll be excited and go see whatever he does, and then I'll judge it after.
So real quick, we got a question here for Odin. When are we getting the gritty Bible Man reboot?
I was trying to figure out what that was supposed to, like, if that was, like, is there a character called Bible Man? Am I missing something there? Or is that a reference to, like, The Passion of Christ by Mel Gibson and the sequel to that?
I believe that there actually is a Bible Man superhero.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Yeah. I believe one of the actors from Charles in Charge played him back in the 90s.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I know there is a one-off John Paul II.
So I have to interrupt for this super chat. We got another super chat from Scotty Dub. Okay, I'll take it. Scotty Dub for $99.99. Apologies for the lack of super chat earlier. Thanks to my sad caveman thumbs, and happy early birthday to Vader. My 53rd is only a month later, so it's easy to remember, brother. Looking forward to seeing more salty nerd goodness in 2023. Scotty, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Your generosity. That is an amazing super chat. You are now tied for Astro Nerd Boy. We're gonna have to put you up here. That's my birthday money. I'm gonna take that, and I'm gonna go out to dinner. You can take it when you start doing your job. How about that?
You yelled at me when I was clicking on the thing earlier. So.
We're starting off the year off with some salt, everybody.
Screw you, man.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I think Gunn should consider going forward is basically taking the Batman and having that be the genesis of his new, superhero universe. So like his Superman movie could take place in the same Battinson universe, because they already have plans for like TV shows and stuff like that. So I would just roll that into what he has planned. But I don't know, man. Like I think he might just be ignoring those and doing his own thing. I actually really like James Gunn. I think I haven't seen a James Gunn movie that I haven't disliked. So I've got a lot of confidence in what he might do. Did any of you guys ever see Brightburn by any chance?
Yes.
I have not seen that yet.
So
No.
Brightburn is
I liked
basically
it a lot.
the Superman origin story, but if Superman was evil, and it was a James Gunn movie basically, and it was fantastic. I had a lot of fun with it. It was like a cool little like twist on the Superman mythos, but it was also a good little horror movie as well.
Yeah, very well
and we
shot, and the effects for the money I thought also were pretty well done.
Yeah, so like I like how James Gunn can take these things and kind of like twist them and make them his own. I loved Peacemaker. I thought Peacemaker was a lot of fun.
But he also
I know
made Guardians 2.
Guardians 2 wasn't that bad, you know. Like
I just watched it
one
the
of
other
those
night.
things.
I mean, it wasn't great. I like the first.
I mean, it's
10
not
minutes.
garbage, but
It's forgettable.
I've never desired to watch it
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got another super chat from Astro Nerd Boy.
Am I supposed to put this one
$10.
up?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Do your job. Henry Cavill out plus Ezra Miller in equals DCEU dead to me. I would be okay with a 100% reset. I won't watch The Flash. I don't know if Ezra Miller, if he's confirmed to continue his role as The Flash. I don't think he's going to. Just from like, Odin, from a business standpoint, I don't know if DC can get him insured for future movies because he's like so crazy.
Well, also too,
So,
I think that it's a business decision at this point. They're not going to drop him until the movie comes out. They've already invested too much time, too much money, and so they need him just there because after all the things he's done, he still has some fans. They do exist, but they need him doing the circuits. They need him doing whatever, for the film to be able to at least maybe be able to make some of its money back. I think it's going to be a big flop personally, but yeah.
Don't they kind of have to release this movie at this point? There's too
I
much
think
money
so.
invested, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the final price tag is 200 plus for the budget. I mean,
they've done so many reshoots and
Yeah.
they've held it off for so long. The carrying cost and all the loan interest and stuff like that for that movie, it's probably
I think
huge.
it's not
The
like a
script will take care
Batwoman
of it,
where
I
they
think.
can. What's he gonna take care of everything?
I think it'll take care of his character, Ezra
Oh,
Miller,
yeah.
as the actor will be out. That's what I think. And I also I think that we haven't heard about Shazam at all. Shazam 3, but I think he's also done. They're just not saying that because the movie hasn't come out yet.
Which kills me.
Well,
'cause-
I'm actually surprised because in the release order, so we're going to have The Flash in the summer and then Aquaman in December. And I would think that if Flashpoint was actually going to happen and they were going to like erase everything from the Snyderverse, they would have The Flash come out in December with like a new ending that basically reboots everything and launches into James Gunn's vision. But it looks like, we're going to have like these movies come out and they're just going to end. And then people are going to be recast, characters are going to be reused, and everyone's going to be like, wait, what happened to,
Yep.
like the last 10 years that we've invested in this?
It's gonna be like the Suicide Squad again,
franchise.
where people are gonna say, "Wait, what
What
is
just
this? What happened? What is this? The same movie? What? It's like you just added the and you have
Yeah.
you brought back one of the same characters, but other characters are got. What? I'm confused.
Yes, that's right.
I've been
Okay,
confused
so-
just listening to all the stuff about this for the last how many years now. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the last time they posted anything about the budget for Flash was actually June of last year, and it was at 200 million. So yeah, I would say 250 is probably at minimum at this point.
Yeah.
So speaking of confused, let's talk about The Rock and his failed
Yes.
power play for the DC.
His lies.
EU, and WB. So basically, for those of you who don't know, there was this great kind of variety article that kind of spells this out, where basically it kind of talks about The Rock's maneuvers behind the scenes to basically become the new like Kevin Feige of the DCEU, the shot caller. And his plan was to build up to a Black Adam versus Superman style movie where basically he elevates his character Black Adam to like the upper echelon of DC superheroes, supervillains, however you want to describe them. And it's kind of interesting, this article, because basically it talks about how he kind of went over the heads of a lot of studio executives at the WB, took advantage of the power vacuum that was left when like basically the outgoing CEO was there. And he kind of like bullied them into allowing Henry Cavill to come back, even though they wanted to recast Superman for like a number of years. And some of the behind the scenes stuff in this article is interesting. Like they talked about how during the release of DC League of Super Pets, which I absolutely loved, I thought it was a great movie, he pushed for a producing credit on there, and basically they gave it to him, and then he refused to promote the movie. And then the actor also, when Black Adam was premiered, he insisted that they have a tequila bar at the premiere that served his tequila, his brand of tequila.
I can just
Because
I just have this picture in my head of him going in there. It's like, listen here, jabroni. This is what you're gonna do.
That's right.
You're gonna put my tequila in the studio, in the bar, and if you don't do it, I'm gonna turn this sideways and shove it up.
Turn
your
this
Rudy
summit
Poo candy
sideways.
ass.
Turn it up
Yeah.
your candy.
Yeah.
yeah, but the Rock has his own tequila brand, which he makes a lot of money off of, and so he insisted that it be served, despite the fact that it was a PG-13 movie. And so basically, he did a lot of stuff to kind of rub the WB brass the wrong way. And there's also a lot of controversy over whether or not the Black Adam movie grossed as much as The Rock said it did. That they're saying that it worldwide it basically broke like around like 300 to 350 million, but The Rock is saying like 500 to 600 million, and there's a lot of numbers being thrown around that not a lot of people seem to be able to agree on. But basically, Warner Brothers is like, hey, this underperformed. Nobody cares about Black Adam. Nobody likes The Rock, so we don't want to deal with him. And this all led to basically the hiring of James Gunn, and basically they told The Rock to pound sand, and I don't think they'll be bringing him back for Black Adam. So Zach, what do you think of The Rock's Game of Thrones style strategy here? Was it just about ego, or did he actually make a serious play for the throne?
I think he probably made a play for it, and I think that he comes from that wrestling background, and Vader will get this. He's always working. There's always an angle to what he's doing, and he's a very smart guy, but he will take his shot. So if he sees an angle to get to the top, he's going to take it. And wrestlers don't insert themselves, if they can, into a bad feud. They want to insert themselves into a hot feud, and he does that with his picks of movies like Fast and the Furious, getting in there. He doesn't need to create his own feud. He can jump into theirs, and he's willing to tell whatever kind of story he has to tell to get people to buy his product and to buy into his character. So if he lies about the box office, that's nothing for him compared to the wrestling stuff that they do on TV every week. And he worked for him in WWE. It worked for him with his other films, and now he's trying to do that with DC. And he took a shot, and even if he missed, what's the harm for him to take that shot and miss? He's still getting press about it. We're still talking about him, and he knows. For him, all press is good press. That's what I think.
Odin, it seems like he's ruined his relationship with Warner Brothers. I don't think they really want to work with him anymore. Can you break down the numbers on the Black Adam movie and what the controversy around it is?
Yeah, well, I thought the most interesting fact of all of this was when the film first came out, the budget was being reported as being roughly 200 million or so. But when he made that announcement, all of a sudden, because he was claiming the break even was just where the film ended up, which according to the latest is like 392.9 million worldwide. And he was claiming, it actually just needed about 350 or 360 to break even. But as soon as he came out trying to do that power play, all of a sudden there became new news reports that started pushing the number of 260 for the budget of the movie. Which, when you bring that into account, what starts off as at this point, as of the recording of, right now, it is sitting at a $65 million loss. When you make it to 260 million versus the 200 or so, that becomes a $100 million loss. So he's dealing with the film.
They said that it was like $40 million of reshoots.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. So he's doing that power play, and then either one of the people in the studio must have then leaked it to the press saying, oh yeah, by the way, the actual budget's a little bit higher, because then all of a sudden these articles come out, it's actually cost higher, he's actually not correct. And sure enough, when you're dealing with like a loss of maybe somewhere between 10 and 20, you can talk about, you can make that up pretty easily. When you're talking about 100+ million, that's when you start to say, okay, yeah, even if you have decent Blu-ray sales, 100 million is kind of hard to make up completely. So
do you think because of the feathers he ruffled at DC and Warner Brothers that they specifically under promoted this movie because they wanted it to bomb?
I wouldn't say that necessarily, only because I felt like there was a lot of marketing for it. I just think the film didn't have, it wasn't a good film. You know, like the word of mouth on the film wasn't the greatest. I think that most people came out of the movie saying, "Oh, I like this part and I like this part," but most everyone agreed, "Oh, it's The Rock being The Rock once again," and it's a lot of things missing, and some of the side characters aren't very good. Pierce Brosnan was the only real, like, Pierce Brosnan, and then whoever was playing, was it Hawkeye, or Hawkman? Hawkman. Like, they did a good job, but other than that, everyone else was very forgettable. And so I think the word of mouth was not good on this film. The drops in the box office show that. So I think it has less to do with marketing and more to do with the fact the film just wasn't very good.
So real quick, we got a super chat from R to the Icky. I was going to go with R2 first. Matt.
Well, you need to communicate better with me. Okay.
So for $4.99, I have no comment. So Salty Nerd Podcast can have $5 on it. Welcome back, guys. I missed you
Thank
too,
you, R2.
Now let's get to Bob Dorsey's massive super chat.
Oh, Jesus.
So Bob has swooped in and basically dethroned Astro Nerd Boy as our top
it's on now.
donation. Yeah, $101. Bob Dorsey, thank you so much for your support. That is absolutely amazing.
That's awesome.
He says, I am behind on listening. DC can get bent. No Henry, no my money. Now, an interesting part about this, Bob, is that Henry Cavill's manager at the time, when he got his role as Superman back, was The Rock's ex-wife. And so The Rock used that relationship with his ex-wife to get Henry on board with doing the cameo, and it was supposed to build up to this big Black Adam versus Superman movie, where basically Superman and Black Adam would fight each other. And it's kind of a good idea in theory, and The Rock definitely did all this stuff to make that happen. And unfortunately, best laid plans just fell flat on their face. For a variety of things. And we got one more super chat from Whiskey Jack for £2. Great, you're back at it, folks. Happy New Year, Whiskey Jack. Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you,
guys.
Generous.
Your super chats at the beginning of this year are just a great way to ring
Next
in
level.
the new year. Thank you so much for that. That's absolutely crazy stuff. So Matt Vader 74.
Yes.
What did you think of this jabroni trying to take over the DC universe?
I think it's weird because I really like The Rock. I've liked The Rock for 25, 30 years now. I don't know how long it's been. The late 90s, right? Is when and I really enjoy his television show. I know Young Rock, where he tells stories about different phases of his life. It's pretty interesting, and I love all the wrestling references and stuff in that. But honestly, I feel like he's getting a little bit too big for his britches in Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? He's not Schwarzenegger or Stallone in my mind yet at this point. And I feel like that's the role he's trying to fill. And he doesn't have that sway in my head. Maybe what I feel like what The Rock needs is a vehicle that he can make multiple movies of, something that he can take and make his own. And maybe that's what he was trying to do with Black Adam, but Black Adam was not the good choice. I'm almost 53 years old. I give zero craps about Shazam or Black Adam. Shazam to me is this goofy little show that was on after school in the 70s that I remember nothing about, and it was for my age group. So anything related to Shazam in my world growing up, and guys, I've been a comic book nerd, movie nerd since I was 7 years old and Star Wars came out. I give no craps about Black Adam, none. And I feel like I'm just a normal person when it comes to that stuff. And that's why this movie failed. He picked the wrong character. Nobody cares about Black Adam. Nobody really cares about Shazam. Those movies are stupid. Okay, they're dumb. It's just, I think that's the biggest problem. He picked the wrong character to try to make his own. He needs to come up with something like the Expendables or something. He needs to take down that. He needs to make his Total Recall movie and grow something from that. He needs to own something. And he just hasn't hit that yet. You know, I mean, I'm not saying The Rock isn't great. I mean, he does. He puts butts in movie seats, but he's just not quite at that level yet for me as those action heroes that we all love. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So
what I'm hearing is that you want him to be a Black Superman. That's what I'm hearing.
You know, that's not what I want. I don't want him to have tights and a cape. I am so over these stupid superhero movies.
But he was a wrestler. He's used to tights.
Yeah. Go make a wrestling movie. You know.
Well, hey,
I don't
wasn't
know.
he a producer on the one about Paige?
Yeah, and that was a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
But you know, I like wrestling, so anything with wrestling that's kind of telling the true stories, like what's that Dark Side of the Ring, love that stuff. You know, those kind of shows are great, but I think The Rock just needs to go out. He needs to find his thing, you know, and you know, like Tom Cruise found the I mean, he's a bad example.
Mission Impossible.
The Mission Impossible things. The Rock needs his Mission Impossible movies, something that he can make his own and produce, do whatever he wants with, and I think he could find that thing if he just, you know, makes it himself or somebody presents it to him. I don't know what it would be, but whatever.
Well, doesn't he have Hobbs and Shaw? Isn't that a thing?
That is, true. I think that for him, you don't come into the ring in wrestling and say, I want to be the most average champion of all time, or I am the most below average champion. So he puts out this persona, and he's done it in Hollywood, where he's the highest paid actor. He's the biggest draw, because that's what they always say. It's carny talk. And he says it enough, or his ex says it enough, that people start to repeat it, whether or not it's true. It becomes the idea that, oh, he's going to save these franchises, and he's the biggest star. He makes the most money. And like Ric Flair did the same thing, and I don't know if that was true. It's just you say it enough, and you believe it in wrestling, you believe it in Hollywood, and it's a different approach, I think.
Yeah.
But he needs something better for sure. This Black Adam was not it, and that was his dream, so he kind of blew that one.
Yeah, Black Adam, it was a bad choice of a character for him to play. It's like I feel like he just said, "Hey, what character is black that I can play and put some tights on?" Oh, Black Adam. Oh, okay. It's like no.
Well, also his ego got in the way too, because he wanted to do it without and outside really of the Shazam, universe. Like, and I think actually that probably would have been the better way to handle it, is to have it within there.
I wonder if he was a little jealous of Batista with his Drax stuff.
I think who can't act at all, and yet is.
I think The Rock was also like, what character can I play that's on the level of Superman?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
So real quick, I just want to give a shout out to Astro Nerd Boy and Scotty Dub for their very generous donations. Scotty, we're still going to feature you. I don't think it's fair for Bob Dorsey come in and swoop up that mantle. So Astro and Scotty, we're still going to feature you on future shows. I just want to let you know that, because we really do appreciate the support. We don't want to minimize it by just ignoring you when someone comes in at $1, Bob. So like you're all going to get our major appreciation going forward.
Just a giant.
The screen real estate's just going to be like these guys pretty soon. But we want to support and celebrate your amazing donations and your support of the show. We really do appreciate it. And so I just wanted to let you guys know about that.
See it really quick. Just to continue the discussion just a second. They do it. John Cena is starting to make his play for movie roles as well. And I'm sorry, Cena has a fan base out there.
He does.
Cena he's huge in the wrestling world. They're going to put the belt on him.
They're all 12-year-olds, but
they're going to give him the strap one more time to be able to break Flair's record.
No,
it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
I'm so tired of Cena.
I know. We're all tired of Cena, but I'm just saying. You got The Rock, who's been doing this for 20 years. You got Batista, who has been doing it for 10, 12 years now in the Hollywood world. Cena is really just now breaking in. And even though he has a few credits to his name, and Roman Reigns is going to be taking The Rock's spot here one of these days. There's some people coming up. It's weird how the wrestlers are kind of like trying to come into the movies, and I don't have a problem with that because they're not making movies like, the Hulk Hogan did with his nonsense. Those were terrible movies. But
well, Reigns has already been in a movie. Remember, he got featured in Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah,
and
he
it
did.
Was, it was hilarious to watch him in the background because he literally was probably like, you could tell the direction he was given was look busy. Because at one point you see him, he picks something up and then just puts it like 2 inches away. And it's like, wait, he's literally just moving things around to make it look like he's busy. It's great.
That might be a future topic for a podcast. Wrestlers in movies. That'd be awesome.
All right, so let's move on and talk about a video game adaptation. So, The Last of Us, which is going to be the next big prestige show on HBO, is coming out, and there's a lot of kind of information being dropped. And one of the interesting things about this is that Craig Mazin, who was the writer and executive producer of Chernobyl, is the one behind The Last of Us, and he's come out and he said that there are no plans to take the show beyond the games, which basically means in The Last of Us 2, there was a pretty definitive end to that storyline. And he's like, once we hit that point, we're not going to, extrapolate it like The Walking Dead did. We're not going to go on for an indefinite amount of time. And I know that HBO is trying really hard to get people hyped up about this show, but I don't care about it. I wasn't a big fan of the game. The sequel kind of like took a hard left turn and really pissed off a lot of like the hardcore gamer fan base. And we've got Pedro Pascal, who has gone out of his way to insult fans and stuff like that due to his political point of view. So, and also I feel like the girl that they, young Mormont from Game of Thrones, I forget her name, but she looks really weird. Like I didn't even recognize her in the trailers for the most part. She's like 19 years old, but she looks like she's 4.
And looks nothing like the character either.
Yeah, and
Nothing
looks
at
nothing
all.
like and what's crazy is the voice actress for that character, she's on Critical Role. They could have easily cast her and have her, play that role, but it was just very strange. So I feel like there's a lot of stuff going against this show, and if it wasn't for Craig Mazin, I'd have like zero interest in it. So I wanted to go around and get everyone's take on this. Odin, do you think that this is going to be a successful adaptation for HBO?
It's really hard to say because obviously there's the Druckmann factor. I think there's going to be a core group of people who remember The Last of Us Part 2 and all the things that happened with that and are just going to boycott this or just refuse to watch it or, whatever it might be. So it's going to be kind of under a microscope from a huge part of the fan base, I would say. But it is going to be interesting to see how the show actually plays out. Does it follow the game like, line for line, scene for scene? Because the thing with adapting video games is that there is just so much more content that you can actually, utilize. You actually have the visuals already set aside for you. So is it going to be a shot for shot remake of the game? Obviously I don't think they're going to do it exactly, but if so, then what are they going to change? What are they not going to include? And if we know anything about modern Hollywood, we know that they are all about trying to push identity politics. And so that's the big question to me is where are they going to insert it? Are they going to create new characters out of thin air, or are they just going to recast certain characters? It's if the show's well done and it's able to like kind of get we get the first episode out of the way and people are enjoying it and people start to say, hey, it's actually not trash. Kind of like with House of the Dragon, right? People went into that thinking, oh, this is going to be trash because the shadow of season 8 of Game of Thrones was still there. And then as people kept watching it, they said, oh, actually, it's not terrible. Oh, it's actually not that bad. And some people ended up actually enjoying it. For me, I just kept thinking to myself, am I really enjoying this? Or am I just thinking, oh, it's not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be? And is that why
when you can contrast it to Rings of Power as well?
Oh, well, absolutely. Absolutely. So I think that's going to be the ultimate tell does it have the same effect that House of Dragon did in being able to kind of move away from Game of Thrones shadow as this? Will it be able to move away from the shadow of The Last of Us Part 2?
Well, according to this Hollywood Reporter article, The Last of Us was originally going to be adapted into a movie, which was being directed by Sam Raimi. And Druckmann, who was adapting his own video game, he was like, I can't take 15 hours of story and squeeze it down into 2 hours. He just couldn't do it. And so with the HBO format, they now have the time that he wants to be able to tell this story.
Mhm.
Zach's video game adaptations have traditionally not turned out too well, but with this one, Craig Mazin basically has come out and said like, yeah, we're just copying the exact same story from the game. Like we're not like taking any liberties with it. What do you think is the key to making a good video game adaptation? And you're muted, so.
Yeah, I think that what they have to do is try to stay true to the game and to the feel of the game, but you have to be able to take some liberties with it because the story of a game is laid out a certain way for you, one person to experience it that way. And I think they're going to have to branch out from that, maybe add other characters and their interactions to make it more interesting and to broaden the world a bit because it's such a narrow view with what we see in those games. I think that Druckmann, though, the more power he gets, the worse things get. It seems to be to me power-wise, and to the point where he inserted himself in that second game in a way that's super, super creepy. But he did it anyway, and I don't know. I don't think this is going to be great. I'll probably watch the first episode. I didn't play through either of the games. I don't have a PlayStation, so I know I can now, but I couldn't then. And Pedro Pascal, I really don't like him. Some of the stuff he said, and now he's allowed himself to be misrepresented as a poor refugee immigrant who came to the country, and he didn't do none of that stuff is really true. He was super wealthy. He's related to 3 of the former presidents of Chile. Like he's not this downtrodden guy who built his way up, but that's how he lets himself be portrayed. So I'm not a big fan of his, and I thought it was an odd casting, but I guess he's the name you want to attach to the show. And we'll see what happens is when season 2 hits and Joel's dead and how people like that.
Yeah.
Well, it was my understanding that he filmed this while he was doing his ADR lines for The Mandalorian. So he was kind of double dipping there. Matt Vader 74,
Yeah.
you're a video gamer. Did you play this video game? I know that this is Alex's favorite video game, so he's very nervous about this show.
We should have Alex on here and not me. I did not play this game. I have to go into this thing as just a normie. Man, I knew what I was going to say. I had it all lined up, but now it's gone. But yeah, I have to go into this thing as a normie. I don't know how excited I am about this show because it's yet again another zombie movie or zombie television show. I have zombie fatigue. Is that a thing? Zombie fatigue? We had vampire fatigue and now we're zombie fatigue, and we need to get into some new supernatural creature to take care of the 2020s, the rest of it going out. But I do know that this is supposed to be one of the best video games that's ever come out, and everybody that played this game, at least the first one, loved this thing. It was it messed with their gameplay and universe. It was the best, greatest thing ever. So I am a little bit intrigued about watching this thing. At the same time, I also don't know if I want to get into this thing because, man, after the mess that the sequel made, the F Naughty Dog stuff is going to be going off the rails here, and for my little universe, I don't know if I'm looking forward to it. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think our little universe is going to matter a whole lot. I think there's going to be a lot of people out there in the normal world that are going to watch this, and they're probably going to like it. And that's just kind of the way it's going to be. All the Walking Dead people that like that, they're going to watch this thing.
It is different in a ways, though. Because of the way the zombies are.
Right. Which again, I don't know anything about. They're it's an infection, and they're plant based or something, right? And
exactly. And there's different levels basically of zombie too. So I think that might make it more intriguing for maybe even for you, who's kind of tired of the tropes, especially. Did you see All of Us Are Dead by chance?
Yes.
It was
it's the high school Korean zombie.
I didn't. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm about halfway through it.
I personally, I love that one. I thought that was
it's
a really
great.
cool way of adapting it. So I think that this might be able to bring people in because it's a different way of adapting.
Odin, have you seen The Kingdom?
I don't think so. No.
So that's another South Korean zombie series on Netflix, but it takes place in feudal Korea,
It's really
and
cool.
it's
Yeah.
really good.
I'm
Yeah.
writing that down now.
Listen, the South Koreans, they got it going on.
They got
all
it going on
They
right
got it
now.
going on. They like their zombie stuff over there, and they do it.
And
really
and they
cool.
do it well. Yeah.
Yeah, they really do.
I mean, this film alone,
Oh, yeah.
Train to Busan. Oh,
That's the best zombie movie ever made.
seriously.
I really do believe that. for sure.
There's a new movie that's coming out. It's about an infection that happens on an airplane, and they refuse to let the airplane land. And it's all the people who were in Train to Busan are in this new movie. And
awesome.
it's available on Amazon right now. I forget the name of it, but I watched the trailer for it with Jude, and we were like, "Is this a sequel to Train to Busan?" But it's not. But
no,
it's
that's called Peninsula.
Yes, that's called. We don't talk about that movie.
Yeah.
But this movie has every actor who was in Train to Busan is actually in this movie, so it's kind of like a spiritual sequel, I guess you could say. But it looks really interesting.
But I think when it comes to The Last of Us, I think I'm just going to put myself in the category of I'm curious. I'm going to start watching it for the sake of context, so we can talk about it here on like this show or whatever other stuff we're on. And if I end up liking it, I guess I end up liking it. If I don't, well, then I can not. I'll make some videos or something. So it is what it is. It is what it is.
The whole thing about the game is like the game is more of like a intimate character piece. It follows this guy who lost his daughter and this young girl who's lost her family, and they team up to basically get her to some type of like medical facility. And throughout the course of their journeys, they become like kind of like a surrogate father-daughter duo. And so the game's focus on that against the backdrop of a zombie apocalypse made it kind of like intimate and unique. Like I did play through the first game, and I thought it was okay. The storyline, I didn't like the ending, but that was just me. But I have no hype for this show. The only reason I'm giving it any consideration is because I like Chernobyl.
That was a good show.
Yeah, Chernobyl was
really good.
Was really good. But Craig Mazin, like I listened to the podcast that went along with Chernobyl, and it was just him bashing Trump the entire time. and I was like, okay, like if this gets political, like it's gonna be bad. But Chernobyl, surprisingly, not that political.
Great. I liked it.
Yeah, it was really good. All right, so let's move on to talk about something
also, sorry to cut you off there, but I think, is it called Plane to Busan?
No, it's not called Plane to Busan.
Is there a movie called that?
There's apparently a film in 2022 that was released called Plane to Busan.
I think that I'm
like a parody.
Yeah.
I'm a zombie guy. I've loved zombie movies and that genre forever. And I was stuck with Walking Dead longer than I should have. But one thing that the first game was 2013, and you could do different things in 2013 with relationships with a mentor relationship that you may not be able to do now. And they showed that in the second game that they're not willing to do that. And so I think that will hurt because Walking Dead, they didn't deconstruct Rick for seasons. They didn't go for it right away, season 2. So we'll see.
Nice.
All right.
Sorry to cut you off there, but I was just like,
okay.
Wait,
That's okay.
Is that really what it is? Because that's hilarious.
So let's talk about news that dropped this week about the Gladiator sequel. So Gladiator, widely considered one of the greatest movies of all time. Ridley Scott, Russell Crowe. Are you not entertained? People just went gaga over this movie, and it's a very, very good movie. It's a multiple Academy Award winner. And at least they're not doing a prequel to it, but they are doing a sequel. And it was announced this week that Ridley Scott is returning to direct the sequel, and he is in the middle of casting. And they cast a gentleman named Paul Mescal, who I'm not very familiar with, in the lead role. I guess he's going to be another Gladiator. But it's I'm wondering about the thought process behind returning to Gladiator. Like some movies should just be left alone. But apparently this is going to get the Prometheus treatment with yet another movie in the franchise that doesn't need to be there. So, Zax, what do you think of a Gladiator sequel? And do you think it's a good idea?
I think it's a terrible idea. And I think that if they were going to do it, they should have done it a long time ago and had it be a different Gladiator, different story, different people. That's how you would have had to do it. But like Ridley Scott's wanted to make this sequel so bad for so long, and there's been so many ridiculous pitches that he's got involved with that I can't imagine this is going to be a good one, because one of the Nick Cave script, I read some of that one from 2018 they put out, where he was going to be still following Maximus, coming back from hell and being immortal, and fighting through like Wolverine style all these different wars to current day. That was one of the things they talked about. I know this is not that, but that tells me you're desperate for an idea. You just want to do a sequel, and so you found a way to do it with this recasting. And whenever that's the case, if you're not inspired to do something, if you want to find a way to do that and it takes you this long, man, I don't know how that's going to work, because that movie was brilliant. I loved it. It's in probably my top 5 movies of all time. And the ending was so important. The fact that, he dies, but he returns to his family, and that's what he wanted in the end. And they're together, reunited, and you can walk away and you feel good, even though it's not really the happiest of endings. And it was a great ending to me. And we've seen Spartacus already, and I like that show. So I don't know if we need Spartacus the movie, if that's what this is going to be.
Matt Vader, what do you think about doing a sequel to Gladiator?
So I'm in my brain, I am writing a Matthew Cadish tweet right now. It says, if you're excited about the Gladiator 2 sequel, remember these things. Russell Crowe's character is dead, number 1. Number 2, this movie came out 23 years ago. Do we really want a sequel now? And 3, Ridley Scott is 85 years old. He might die. So,
I'd never say that.
He is 85. Dude, he's not going to make it. This movie is not going to ever come out. So, I don't know. I'm just, that's my thought of this. I don't want this movie. I don't need this movie. This movie, according to the article we read, this movie is about little Lucius, or whatever his name is, right? The little kid who was the son of the princess, who, and I don't care. This movie was a one and done. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I have no problem with admitting that. I watch it often, at least the first 15 minutes. I love the first 15 minutes of that movie. The barbarian battle is just like one of the coolest things ever put on film in my head.
And our good friend Charlie Allen helped.
Charlie, yeah, that makes it even cooler. So no, I don't want this. I don't need it. I really wish. I hope it. I don't want it. That's all I really have to say.
I don't want it.
I don't want it. So
before we get to Odin, real quick, he found it. It's called Emergency Declaration. This is the movie I was talking about.
Oh, okay.
It's got a lot of people from Train to Busan in it, and it's about an infection on an airplane, and basically they make an emergency declaration to not allow it to land. And it's about the struggle of the people on the plane to survive. Looks really intense. It's actually available out right now on Amazon Prime.
Oh, cool.
I think you can either rent it or buy it on there right now.
Yeah.
But it looks like a.
Yeah, I was gonna say shout out to William Demers, who had found it first. So.
Yeah. So it looks like a really intense movie. I kind of want to check it out.
Yeah.
It looks kind of like what they could do with the cruise ship when they got the COVID. Make a movie about the infected cruise ship and just make it really dark.
Oh.
And it can never come back to seaport, and they have to like have their own little floating island of death until they're all dead. That would be awesome. That's
right. Odin, what do you think about a Ridley Scott directed sequel to one of the greatest movies of all time?
I'm so mixed on it because I like Gladiator. It's not my favorite film. It's not really even in my top. Again, it's a film I appreciate because it's well done, but it's not one that I ever feel the need to ever really go back to, especially even in the filmography of Ridley Scott. And I was just looking back at his films, and he's just been so hit and miss the last 5-10 years. I mean, I look at a film like The Martian from 2015, which I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
But then he did Alien Covenant. Then there was the debacle with All the Money in the World, where in wasn't it 2 weeks he replaced Kevin Spacey. Yeah, like he actually replaced Kevin Spacey completely with another actor. I mean, so I look at that, and then more recently, House of Gucci. I had no interest in watching that, and I heard it was very Oscar baity. The Last Duel, I've heard mixed things about. So his recent track record is so just all over the place. I just honestly don't know exactly what to expect for this film because as Matt was saying, it's Spencer Treat Clark is actually coming back to be Lucius. So the same actor who played the kid in the film is coming back. So at least that's what IMDb says. And then the script writer, at the very least, has maybe some things that they could have to the name. The Last Castle from 2001. He wrote the screenplay and story for that. The Day the Earth Stood Still from 2008. All the Money in the World. He did that one. He wrote that one. And then he wrote 3 episodes of The Man in the High Castle from 2019. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be very interesting to see how well or how not well. Again, it's Ridley Scott. He's hit or miss. He's had a lot more misses than he's had hits. So my guess was that this is also going to be a miss.
I did like The Last Duel. I want to say The Last Duel was decent. Yeah,
I heard that there's a scene in there where someone is graped, and they do it multiple times because it's from different perspectives, and it's like they showed it multiple times. It's like, do you really need to do that multiple times to, you know?
They didn't. They could have cut that for sure.
Yeah, that's why I never saw it, because people who know me are like, "Hey, by the way, this is there," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna want to."
The actual duel itself, like, it was quite a long scene, and it was well done. I thought. So.
Okay.
Well, I'm just glad they're doing a sequel instead of a prequel. That's very rare for Hollywood nowadays.
Yeah, that's
all right, guys.
Well, he is making a prequel to Alien, right? Isn't he doing a prequel to Prometheus, or he's doing something else? I saw that announced in his filmography of things that are upcoming.
Well, we all know his brother was the real talent, right? Tony Scott. Okay, so speaking of Tony Scott, let's talk about 3 good things that we're looking forward to in 2023 in terms of movies or TV shows. This was a Matt Vader request.
I just wanted to talk about something fun.
So we're gonna talk about 3 things that we're each looking forward to, and then after this, we're gonna talk about 3 things that we're not looking forward to. Matt Vader, since this was your pick, why don't you start us off? What are the 3 things that you're looking forward to in 2020?
Okay. Well, I got some TV shows and I got some movies. I'm going to start, and nobody's going to believe me. But I for some weird reason, I'm really looking forward to Picard season 3 coming out. And I know you're shaking your head, but I don't know if I'm looking forward to it more because Brian is insistent that this is going to change our world, or if I want it to be bad so I can give Brian never-ending amounts of crap about this show. So everything I've heard is pointing to that this show is going to be the Star Trek Next Generation finale that we all kind of want, and but that we didn't realize we needed, or something along those lines of getting my words all stumbled up. But I'm waiting and seeing. I hope it's good, and I want it to be good. And if it's not, well, then it's going to be a ton of fun tearing apart. I'm also looking forward to, of course, I got a movie on here I know Zach is going to talk about. So I'm going to go with another pick. I'm looking forward to John Wick 4. Yeah. I love those movies. If I could buy my ticket to see that now, I absolutely would. It's just such a cool world. The world building in these movies has been fantastic, and I love that they just keep the action crazy, and it's just, these things are just what I go to movies to see. They're complete escapism. They're fun, and they're just next level awesome movies to me. And I love Keanu Reeves. You know, he's awesome. He loves his character. You know, he's found another franchise to rule. And I think you guys are all gonna again think I'm nuts, but I'm looking forward to the Ahsoka series coming out. I know it's brutal, right? And the only reason I'm really looking forward to this is because I was a fan of the Rebels show.
Mhm.
I need my Rebels. This is basically, to me in my head, this is Rebels the next season. I want to know what happened to those characters. I want to know what happened to Ezra. I want to know what happens to Thrawn. And I know these characters are not the same as the Timothy Zahn books. You know, they did Admiral Thrawn kind of dirty, but
Mhm.
in my mind, I want the continuation. And I if they do it right, it could be cool. But I don't have a lot of faith that it's going to be good, but my brain really wants to see it. So that's what I'm looking forward to. There's a lot of other stuff I'm looking forward to too, but those three things like stand out of things that I actually want to watch and talk about this year. So I'll leave it at that. So
all right. So Zach's, what three things are you looking forward to in 2023 in terms of movies and TV?
First is going to be Dune Part 2, which I know, like Matthew Kadish, is just his unmitigated hate of that first film really kind of drew me even deeper into their web on Discord. And
it doesn't hold a candle to the David Lynch version. I'll just say that.
I mean, I think that it was like Denis Villeneuve, I think, is a fantastic director, visually speaking, and you watch this film and you're drawn into the world, and he really spent, I think the first film was mostly world building. There was some conflict, and some of the ways he did the action was a bit strange, but I really enjoyed the feel of it, and I think it's going somewhere interesting. And there wasn't a moment in there where I was really bored, because even though they weren't throwing things at you all the time, I liked the time with Duke Leto. I liked the time that we spent to get to know him, even though it's not, he doesn't continue forward. But I want to see what he does with Part 2 and how he finishes this, and then so I can come back to Kadish and say, "See, I told you it was great."
Well, it'd be nice to get like a full movie for a change. So.
Yeah, it will, and I love that he did that. Like, I don't know, it doesn't bother me at all. He's gonna get his Part 2, and he did. So that's one. The second one would be I've been really watching a lot of Taylor Sheridan stuff, and I didn't get as engaged in it at first, but man, I fell deep into 1883, 1923 now, and then he's working on a Bass Reeves series, which I think could be outstanding, supposed to come out in 2022, and that's a character who people have talked about doing but never really fully developing. And so I'm excited about that, because I do believe in his writing, and I haven't watched Tulsa King yet, but I'm excited for that one too.
He's a great writer.
That's on my list. I heard that he wrote was it 1883 over a weekend or something like that. Anyway, guys got talent, so anything he does I want to see now. So, and that's and I like that he's branching off of that family and gonna explore Bass Reeves. Cool. It's the black U.S. Marshal who was a awesome bounty hunter. Yeah, and there hasn't been that done. So, and that's been always a big issue with they're doing a lot like the swapping. Well, you don't have to. Here's this guy who really existed, a real person, and he was a black U.S. Marshal bounty hunter, and he was awesome. So let's see that. And then I wanted, so sort of what, based on what Matt was saying, I was going to say John Wick 4, but I'm going to say The Continental now, because that's the TV series they're working on that's based on that world. And I would like to see if that happens. I think it has so much potential just to blow that up and see all these other people and these other characters, and just that you get a whiff of in the John Wick series. I want to see more of them. So those would be my three right now. And a bonus one, 2024, War of the Rohirrim. That's my biggest thing I'm looking forward to that's coming up in the next few years.
All right.
That's me.
So Odin, is one of your picks the season 2 of Rings of Power?
Oh, Well, I did. Wasn't the word that we're not getting it next year or this year?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We're
so hey, thank the Lord. So
that's why it didn't make your list.
Exactly. I have a list. So I have just a few honorable mentions. That's just how I do lists. It's hard for me to just narrow it down. A lot of them have, a lot of the ones that I like have been mentioned in some way. So I am also excited for Dune Part 2, but I'm one of those persons where I'm kind of like splitting the baby on that one, where it's like, I think that Matthew is correct in that it's an incomplete story, and that bothered me too, because I love Denis Villeneuve. I love him as a filmmaker. All the films that he's made, I've always enjoyed. For that one, I enjoyed everything that I was watching, and then when the film ended, I was just so upset and so disappointed, because it just, again, you leave off at a point where, because I was listening to the book at the same time on audio, and I was like, oh, this is not a good place really to kind of lead things off. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen, and I'm hoping that it connects together really well and does a good job. And I have confidence in him. I think personally, though, he should have made this into a miniseries, and I think it would have been better. That's just my own take on Dune. But it's anything is better than the original Dune. I'm just gonna put that out there right now. And
that was an awesome movie. Come on now.
I can't stand it.
Shut your face.
I can't stand it. I don't like the guy who. I don't like the director. I just never liked his stuff.
David Lynch is a genius.
Yeah, I don't like David Lynch.
Appreciate.
Yeah, don't like him. But also honorable mention, Cocaine Bear. I have a feeling in my bones it's gonna suck, but the trailer has made so much entertainment, has created so much entertainment for me that
Elizabeth Banks, man.
I know, and I think the only saving grace is that she is not the writer. She's the director, but she did not write the actual story. So we'll see. We'll see if it's any good. And also honorable mention is Shazam: Fury of the Gods. I liked the first Shazam film. I personally like it more than any of the other DCEU films. It's a film that I can go back to, where the other ones I just have no interest in them whatsoever. It felt the least Zack Snyder-y, which is probably why I liked it as much as I did. So I'm looking forward to see what they do with Fury of the Gods as well. But my top three, one's have already been mentioned, John Wick Chapter 4. I just love the John Wick film so much.
Yeah.
The way I always describe it for myself is the John Wick, the first John Wick is the best movie. John Wick 2 has, I think, some of the best writing because the lore, when they just, I love the world building in John Wick 2. And then 3 has like some of the best action sequences.
Yep.
The knife fight scene alone, hallway scene is just awesome. So I can't wait to see where 4 goes with the story, because it looks like it's going to continue the world building as well. And as long as it has more of those awesome fight sequences, I'm going to be happy. And based on the trailers, it's looking like we're gonna get that. Also looking forward to Oppenheimer. Christopher Nolan. It's always easy to put a Christopher Nolan film on the list, but I will say that the last couple haven't been all that impressive for me. I know that Tenet was kind of a hard sell for a lot of people, and the sound design on it was terrible, and I totally think that that's a correct assessment, because you couldn't hear most of what was being said. But of what I was able to hear, and I actually went in hyper focused, so I actually heard 95% of the film, where most people said they could only hear half. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was really interesting, and the concepts he comes up with.
Hated that movie.
I know. Again, I totally understand why anyone would hate that movie. It's like one of those things where it's like, I liked it, but I totally get why anyone would hate it, because there's a lot of things. But yeah, I just, the story itself, the history of it, I think it could be really, really, really good. And then my probably like one of my top films. So John Wick 4 is probably at the very top, but what's climbing the list every time I think about it, and every time new stuff comes out for it, is Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1. The worst part about it is that name. Good Lord, like Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I mean, I'm dreading the box office coverage of that, because it's going to be like, am I just going to put Dead Reckoning? Am I going to put the whole title? I don't know, because that's already a lot. But Tom Cruise has shown himself to really just know his stuff when it comes to action sequences, and the things that he is doing for this film, the fact that he continues to top himself somehow, when one of the things he's already done is be hanging off a plane as it's taking off. Like that, when that film came out, I was like, okay, I don't see how you can get more. He's going to do crazy stuff in this film. And then I think it's within the next, 3 to 5 years, they're going to have that studio in space built for a space movie he's working on. And if they can get that somehow involved, oh man, I'm excited.
I mean, he's driving motorcycles off cliffs.
Yep.
It's insane.
And it did it 6 times to get the right take, I think is
wild.
Yeah.
All right, so for me, I want to second the John Wick 4 and the Continental. Like, those are definitely like things that I am looking forward to. But since you guys already mentioned,
is Continental still going? I thought it got shelved.
Oh no, it's still going.
Oh,
it's still going.
I think so.
Also, there's a spinoff called Ballerina, which what's her name? Really hot girl, Ana de Armas. Yeah. So she's going to be the female John Wick type thing. So that's another thing to look forward to.
And he's in it, so that's good.
Yeah. So the 3 things I'm looking forward to, I'm going to start off with a movie that my buddy Alex is really looking forward to as well, because it has to do with dinosaurs. It's called 65, and it's Adam Driver versus dinosaurs. And it's called 65 because it happened 65 million years in the past. And it's basically, you know, like futuristic guy fights dinosaurs, and it looks cool. And since Alex isn't here to shout it out, I'm going to shout it out for him because I actually kind of want to see it too.
The trailer
the
reveal was fun because
It looks fun.
I was just looking at it and I'm like, it's called 65, and I was like, oh, okay, it's gonna be dinosaurs. And then sure enough, when all of a sudden you realize where he is, it's like, oh, yep, it's dinosaurs.
So the next thing I'm really looking forward to is a Netflix TV show called You. It's season 4 is coming out this year, and I've watched the previous 3 seasons. I'm obsessed with that show. It's really freaking good. It's basically like Dexter, but instead of a serial killer, he's a stalker, and so each season he stalks like a different girl, and it's super creepy, but at the same time, like you really like the guy. So it's like a really weird show. Like you keep hoping that he gets away with stuff, and even though he keeps doing these terrible things. And the 4th and final season is coming out this year, and I'm really looking forward to that because it's an excellent show. All 3 seasons have been good, which is very rare. So I'm looking forward to that. And my top 3 final, I kind of like rounding it out, is the as of yet untitled Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel, which will be coming out in December. I loved Ghostbusters Afterlife so much, and I'm really looking forward to seeing them go back to New York. And see how they continue with that franchise. And just to give a couple honorable mentions, taking a page from Odin's book, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, looking forward to that. I am looking forward to Dune Part 2 because I want to know how that story ends, actually. And Across the Spider-Verse looks really good to me. So
the animation style drives me
I like
nuts.
the animation style. I really like the first movie too. So
I do again. I like
quick.
everything about it except for the way the characters move. It just bothered me.
I have one honorable mention that I wanted to say that I forgot to say. I didn't know we were doing honorable mentions, but I actually have it written down. And that's the Fallout show that Amazon is working on. That's a game that I did play back in the day, and I'm really interested and curious to see how this is going to translate to a television show.
Is that coming out this year though?
I don't know, and that's why I put it on my honorable mentions, because you look at everything. It says it could be 2023, but it also says 2022, so it might be 2025 before we see it. But it is being worked on, and I'm looking forward to it, and I'm really curious to see how they pull it off. So yeah.
All right, guys. Well, this is the Salty Nerd Show, and we can't do stuff that we like because it's just too positive. So we need to focus on the top 3 worst things that we are not looking forward to in 2023. We're going to start with you, Zach. So what are the things that you are least looking forward to in this coming year in terms of entertainment?
The Witcher season 3. Not looking forward to that now that Henry's gone, and after watching Witcher Blood Origin, which that's time I'll never get back.
So bad.
It was awful for every reason. Every
still
reason.
20 minutes into the first episode, and I started it 2 weeks ago.
Just stop.
And it's only 4 episodes. It's only a 4-episode show. I can't get past the second episode. It's so dumb.
You should do one of your videos like you did for Kenobi.
Yeah.
Kadish on that. Just all the dumb. Why would you do this? Why this? Why that? Like just riff on it. Because
also, how many times can we rip off the Seventh Samurai? You know, like when I was watching this show, they make a meta joke about like, ragtag group of heroes that come together to fight against impossible odds. That was never done before. And then they're like, no, it's a ragtag group of heroes that come together to fight against impossible odds. And a Witcher, and they're like, "Whoa! Oh my God! I've never heard that before." It's so dumb.
It's like that one episode of Mandalorian in like the first season. I was like, "Oh, they're just totally ripping off Seven Samurai." Okay, got it.
That's Zack Snyder's next phase of his career, is just ripping off the Seven Samurai for Rebel Moon.
And now I'm no longer looking forward to season 2 of 1899, which was a show I enjoyed. I love the people who
they
made.
Canceled it.
I know.
Was the viewership not good, or?
I think it was too expensive because they used the volume, like the virtual sets, for it, and I just think that like it because of COVID, like they couldn't do anything practically, so like they did this really expensive virtual shoot. But I thought the first season was excellent. Like I really enjoyed it.
So why not just do it again and instead use practical effects? You know.
Well, they used the volume because I think it was offered to them through Netflix to do it that way because of the scale of what they wanted to do. And so they.
we got
I
some
got
childhood
it's
interference.
child invasion here. So they offered that to them, and they talked about that, and they said that people that made Dark, which was a fantastic show, this was built to be a 3-season arc, already planned out. So Netflix knew what the story was going to be, and to pull the plug so early,
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
yeah, they throw money at some of the weirdest things, and I am not looking forward to anything else coming up from Disney at all. Willow, I started to watch, and I watched about 5 minutes, and that was it for me. And even though Andor I've heard is good, I haven't watched it yet. So anything Disney I'm kind of out on right now.
I still haven't finished Andor either.
So nothing from Disney. 1883's second season, and what was the first one again?
1899 is not
1899. Sorry.
Yeah, and Witcher season 3.
Witcher season 3. Okay. Odin, what are the top 3 things that you are least looking forward to?
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. So some dishonorable mentions. First, Indiana Jones. I can't. Old. He's old. He's too old. I don't care what James Mangold says to anyone who points out the obvious.
Hey, you're ageist.
Exactly,
ageist.
I know, but he's too old to be doing that role. He's not too old to live. He's just too old to do that role.
Maybe Ridley Scott should have directed it.
Yeah, that would have made a little bit more sense at least. So I'm sure I'll have to watch that at some point, and I don't want to. Little Mermaid live action remake.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I don't want to.
I won't watch that one. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not watching it. Nope.
So somebody tells me that, because Gary controls our lives on Friday Night Tights. So somebody tells me he's gonna be like, "You have to watch this week," and I'll be like, "No, please, no." It's like with Avatar. I was like, "Please don't make me do it." Creed 3, don't want it. Creed 1 was great. Creed 2 was not good. So I just don't want Creed 3. And then this one's on my list, but it's for a reason. Super Mario Brothers movie. The reason why I don't want that one to come out and why I'm not excited for that one is because if it makes $1 billion, I'll have to eat pineapple on pizza. I have a bet going.
Oh, well, that's good. That's an easy.
I have to eat. I'm making a bet with Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. And the bet is the loser has to eat pineapple on pizza, which we don't like. So
Have you ever had it?
I've had pineapple and I've had pizza.
But you never had them together?
No, because it.
Well,
no.
It's one of my favorite topics.
You're in for a treat, Odin.
No.
Because it's actually good. You're
It
in a pro pineapple.
It is anathema. It is anathema. It is heresy. I even have a shirt called "Pineapple Pizza is Anathema."
Yeah.
I made it just because I was like, no, I can't do it. Canadian
bacon, pineapple, and red onions.
Oh,
that is the
sounds
best
good.
pizza.
No pineapple.
Maybe some.
I like
bacon.
pineapple and pepperoni.
Oh yeah, that's
pepperoni.
good
I'll
too.
keep the pepperoni part, but so I think the movie's going to do well. Don't get me wrong. I think it's going to do well. I think it's going to make a lot of money. I don't think it's going to make $1 billion. Could it? Sure. But I don't think it will. Jeremy thinks it's a guaranteed $1 billion. So if he's right, I eat the pineapple pizza. If I'm right,
the Mario Brothers movie needs to make $1 billion for you to eat pineapple on pizza. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
All right,
Oh,
I'm
no.
down.
Please don't buy multiple tickets just to try to
I'm buying a
help
dozen
them
tickets.
out. But the top 3 dishonorable, bottom of the list, bottom of the barrel. I'll go with I guess I'll rank these. So number 3 is Fast 10. I'm so tired of the Fast and Furious franchise. I mean, and this is coming. I love 1 through 6. I have so much fun with those movies. They're great. And then once 7 hit, I mean, obviously, you lose one of your actors, and he was such a good person too. It was sad, but the movie wasn't good. And then everything since then has just not been up to the same standard, in my opinion. And it's not fun anymore. So Fast 10, nope, no thank you. The number 2 spot is going to go to The Flash, because it's just going to be awful. And again, I'm going to probably have to go watch it, and I don't want to because I don't want to see something written by the woman that did Birds of Prey. But the bottom of the barrel is going to be The Marvels, because everyone should be fearing for their lives of Captain Marvel 2, which again, everyone who defends the film loves to say it made over $1 billion. And then when you mention the fact, oh, then why aren't they calling it Captain Marvel 2 if she sold it so well? Right. Why did they have to change it to The Marvels? Why did they have to rebrand it? They all of a sudden have nothing to say. So,
all right, Matt Vader 74. What are your top 3 least favorite things looking forward to?
Well, these guys have all made great decisions and picks, and I've already, Odin just stole one of mine. I chose The Marvels as well. I am actually really not looking forward to having to watch that. My list was just going to say all Marvel movies, all Marvel products. I'm not looking forward to the Loki series. Yeah, I'm so over it. But I do want to see Guardians 3. So I couldn't say that. I couldn't say that I'm out of all the Marvel movies because I am very curious about Guardians 3. And for some reason, I kind of want to see what they do with the Ant-Man stuff, even though I know it's going to be stupid. But I will gladly go buy a ticket for those 2 movies. So yeah, the Marvels. Ugh, I'm bracing myself for the unending amount of Brie Larson videos that are going to be coming out on YouTube, and when that gets closer, it's going to be fun, but it's going to be insane at the same time.
If you thought it was a lot before.
Because Brie is going to get on some junket and she's going to spurg out and say something stupid, against the patriarchy or something dumb, right? And I kind of hope she does. I really do. I'm not going to lie because it'll be really fun. But
and it was a fun
there it is. There she said it. All right. That's the video making begin. Yeah, it's going to be really funny. Yeah.
I'll launch a lot of YouTuber careers.
Yes. Go Brie. Make it happen. Yeah. Indy 5. That's such a weird thing to me. I'm watching 1923 or whatever, and Harrison Ford is on there, and he's playing an age-appropriate character, and it's really good. I'm only a couple episodes in, but man, it's good. It's a good show, and I love Harrison Ford, and he's killing it. But again, he's playing a character who's supposed to be 80 years old at this point, right? And he's selling it, and he's good. But I don't look at him and see Indiana Jones anymore. I see an old man wearing a cowboy hat. And I'm just, regardless of all the James Mangold nonsense, I'm just not buying this movie. And, I've said it before, I want this movie to be good. If we have to be forced to have this movie in our world, I at least want it to have a good ending. I guess, I have no faith that that's going to happen. I have a feeling.
I still think it's weird that they call it
get
Indiana Jones 5, even though they haven't made a 4th one yet.
Right. Exactly.
That's the question I was going to ask. Is this a 4 or?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm so
screwed up the
confused
number
anymore.
The search for more money, even though I think there's a good chance it's going to flop.
Right. I'm not rooting for this movie to fail. I really am not. I want it to be good, but I'm having a hard time with it. I don't want to even deal with it. But at the same time, the anarchist in me wants Mangold to have come out as being a liar about everything he said about this movie. And I want to be able to take that dude and just squash him under my thumb on the social medias, because I'm a jerk, I guess, and that's just kind of how I have fun. And the one other thing I am not looking forward to is a Star Trek Discovery season, whatever it is that's
5.
coming out. So, that Star Trek is in such a weird place because, Strange New Worlds was surprisingly watchable. They had 10 episodes. I thought 7 of them were good. So I gave that season a 7 out of 10. Picard has been abysmal, absolutely abysmal. But our friends, they're all saying this next series is going to be fantastic, and they have inside information and stuff. It's like, okay, it better be good. It better be good, Brian. I'm coming for you if it's not. And but I have no faith that Discovery and its women power is going to make any changes to where it's going to be watchable. It's just going to be women are awesome, and we're going to be super gay over here because we're gay, and that's all we can do when we're on TV is be gay, and it's just going to be more of the same. It's probably going to be really weird, and I always put off watching Discovery as long as I possibly can, but I always end up watching the whole season. It's the one show out there that I'm glad streaming shows aren't the old school 24 episode format, because I can kind of knock it out fairly quickly. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to Discovery season 5 at all. So
the way you were talking there, all I could think of was, well, I guess it's not like the old song from the movie The Producers, the musical The Producers.
Yeah.
Keep it gay, keep it gay.
Well, those Colbert and what's the other dude's name? Stamets? I don't know.
Yeah, Stamets.
Their characters aren't, and I don't know if I can say this without getting in trouble, but they don't serve any function in the show other than to be gay.
Mm-hmm.
That's their entire arc. That's it. That's the only thing that they are on this show, and I think they should, if they're going to be there, expand their characters a little bit, give us something interesting, so whatever. It is what it is. It's just a bad show. So
I think the good news there is, my prediction is that the 5th season will be the final season of
let's
Discovery,
hope so.
because that's when the Netflix money runs out for that show. So we'll see if it goes any further than that.
Yeah.
I don't even think anyone's watching it. I don't think there's like a big fan base for it. Everyone's really excited about Strange New Worlds, though, because it was actually a good show. All right. So some of you guys stole some of my things, so I'm going to try to...
it's okay.
What happens when you're hosting and you never go first?
Yeah.
So I agree with Odin. I'm not looking forward to The Flash, and I agree with Zach's that The Witcher Season 3 was a big thing on my list that I was not looking forward to, simply because the first 2 seasons weren't very good, and this is the final season. Henry Cavill is going to be playing the character, and he was the only redeeming aspect of that show. And Blood Origin was just so bad. Blood Origin wasn't based on any books. It was basically the showrunner of The Witcher cherry-picked bits of lore from the novels and made a completely original, terrible story set in this universe that she's slowly destroying. So I'm not looking forward to that. I actually can't believe that Netflix continues to renew that show. It's kind of odd. But my number 3 thing is basically Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. I know that this is supposed to launch like a new era of Dungeons and Dragons, and it's going to lead to like a TV show. The trailer for it just looks absolutely terrible. Again, it's almost like a Seven Samurai type thing, but at the same time, it's steeped in Dungeons and Dragons, and I don't want to reward Wizards of the Coast with all their BS by giving them like a hit. But overall, it just doesn't look like a very good. I don't know why people can't get Dungeons and Dragons stuff right. It seems like it'd be easy, but they keep making trash, basically garbage. So the second thing on my list is kind of similar to what Vader did, but I narrowed it down a little bit more. Basically, any Marvel TV show that's coming out this year.
Yeah.
I did like Loki, so like I'm kind of on the fence about that. But Echo, Ironheart, pretty much any other TV show that they have planned coming out just doesn't interest me at all, and it looks dumb. It just looks freaking dumb. So I'm not hyped for any of the Marvel TV shows. Secret Wars, I'm still on the fence about, because like that could tie into something like bigger in the movie universe. I am looking forward to the Marvel movies. I'm a shameful Marvel apologist. Like I liked Love and Thunder and like all that stuff. I know, right?
Sure.
I hope the check's in the mail for that one.
We need to have a shaming a la Game of Thrones.
But all the TV shows that they have slated to come out this year, they don't look good to me. And especially since they're focusing on characters that like Agatha. Who wants an Agatha Harkness TV
Nobody.
show? Nobody.
The 2 people that watched the entire WandaVision.
Well, even when you were watching WandaVision, like she wasn't Agatha Harkness until like the last episode, really. So like you didn't really get a sense of who she really was as a character. So it's very strange. I think that's mostly just to keep the actress involved with Marvel at some point. So anything Marvel related to TV, and my number one thing that I am not looking forward to this year is anything movie or TV show by Lucasfilm. I feel like everything they're putting out this year just looks terrible, just looks dumb as hell. Even Mandalorian season 3, I'm like, I don't care. I don't care about any of this stuff. It just like they've ruined every piece of goodwill I had for them, and I just can't like I even liked Andor, but I can't justify anything that they're putting out in 2023 because like none of it looks any good. I hope I'm wrong, but Indy 5, you know, the only good thing coming out of that movie, it looks like, is Kathleen Kennedy's retirement.
Allegedly.
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 Still no movement on any Star Wars TV show or movies, I should say. All the Star Wars TV shows, like I don't care about Ahsoka. I don't care about what is it, the Acolyte, you know, Mandalorian season 3. It's like I feel like Book of Boba Fett kind of ruined that for me. There's just nothing coming out of Lucasfilm that looks like it's
the
going
Bad
to be
Batch
good.
just came out too. Like, and it's
No.
like, oh, did anyone even realize that the Bad Batch came out?
I watched it.
Yeah,
I did.
Is that any
I
good?
watched it. It's Bad Batch. If you like season 1, you'll
first
like
season was
2.
okay. I mean, it wasn't,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. So I'm very pessimistic on Lucasfilm and Marvel going forward this year. Hopefully I'm proven wrong, but I kind of doubt I will be. All right, guys. So that was it for our show today. I want to thank everyone who showed up in chat and participated, but I also want to give a shout out to all of our wonderful super chatters who basically threw us ungodly sums of money today.
Very much.
Joker Voice, thank you so much for your support. Scotty Dub, who donated a total of $120 this stream. Wow. Amazing. Thank you so much, Scotty. Astro Nerd Boy has returned to support us. Thank you, Astro Nerd Boy. R to the Icky, always good to see you. Whiskey Jack and Bob Dorsey, our new top super chatter, for $101. Just edged out Astro Nerd Boy by $1. But we're going to make sure that Scotty Dub, Astro Nerd Boy, and Bob Dorsey get the appropriate attention in future live streams because their generosity is just out of this world. We really appreciate it, guys. You know, like to have fans like you donate stuff like that is just like Vader and I still can't believe it. You know, we wake up every day, we're like, wow, people give us money for sharing our opinions on stuff. That's crazy. So thank you all so much for your support in this stream. I also want to thank our new guest, Zax. Hopefully he'll decide to come back in future episodes. Zax, why don't you tell people where they can find you and any final thoughts you have on the topics we discussed today?
I'm muted. I just dropped my link in the chat there. I'm going to be on tonight at 11:30 with Flaccid Phoenix doing my regular Saturday night stream, and then Wednesdays at 9 Central we have my regular live stream. So please come check me out there. My house is getting noisy, so I'm going to stay muted. But thanks so much for having me on. I'd love to come back.
Awesome.
And Zach's channel is linked in the description of this video. So if you guys want to check out any of our panelists, you can find them in the description, as well as links to all the articles that we referenced for our discussion topics today. Odin, where can people find you eating pineapple on pizza?
No, I pray that doesn't happen this year. And I won't say I'll do everything that I can to stop it because I can't stop a film from doing well or not, as this is the case with Avatar, which I... Anyway, you can check me out over at OMB Reviews, where people have been, speaking of salt, a lot of saltiness has been going on in the comments section over recent videos I've made about Avatar. So you can check them out over there on YouTube, Odyssey, and on Rumble as well. Tonight I'll have a live stream at 7 Eastern time, where we'll just talk about what's going on in the world and what's going on with the box office. So thank y'all, as always, for having me on. It's always fun.
And I will say Rumble recently rolled out a new redesign of their website. It looks much better than it used to.
Yes.
Like they graduated from the early 2000s, are now caught up with everyone. But you can check out Odin on there. Odin, did you actually see Avatar 2 yet?
Yeah.
You did?
I did, unfortunately.
What was your take on it?
I thought it was incredibly boring and long-winded and just garbage.
I still want to go see it in the theater. I haven't had a chance to or desire to yet. I just have
The two
but
things you'll hear is that it looked pretty, which sure, yeah, and that there's a good dad character, which yeah.
Oh.
But from the first 10 minutes, like the fact that you haven't seen it yet makes me. I think in the first 10 minutes you're gonna pick it apart and say, "Oh man, the story." Like the exposition in the first 10 minutes of characters and how they arrive and everything, you're gonna be like, "Oh my goodness, the contrivances to try to get this to come together."
the worst I've seen in terms of contrivances and bad writing was Glass Onion, which no surprise, it's a Ryan Johnson movie.
yeah.
I'd like to do an entire stream just dedicated to ripping that
yeah.
movie apart because there's so many problems with it.
Yep.
Surprise, surprise. But yeah, like I love James Cameron. He's one of my all-time favorite directors, so I'd like to go and see it while it's still in the theaters to get that experience. I just can't find anyone to go with me. I'm gonna have to go by myself.
Surprise, surprise.
He's asked me 3 times. It's like, you want to go watch that movie? Nope, I don't.
Well, it's got no competition for a good month, so
I gotta go clean the bathroom. Sorry.
Speaking of cleaning the bathroom, Vader, where can people find out more about you? And do you have any final thoughts?
Oh, final thoughts. Well, first, you can find me at MattVader74 on all the socials, mostly Twitter, also on Instagram and Facebook. I need to like give those things more love. But final thoughts. I just want to thank Zach for coming in on our first show this year. Odin, as always, we love having you on the show, man. I'm sure it'll be the first of many over the next year or so. 2023, it's going to be a huge year for us here at the Salty Nerd Podcast. And me personally, I just started a new real life job at one of the great big new casinos on the Strip. It is bounds different, just worlds different than my last job. It's almost overwhelming, but it's really super cool. I can't really get into it because I don't want to like, break some rules or something, but it's awesome. It's less stress and it's just a super fun place to go. So yeah, the studio, we're putting the studio together. That'll be going up by March. It's just a huge year for us guys, and we got a lot of stuff planned, and we're gonna get back in the basement this week and start making new content for everybody. And I think we're doing we're starting out the year with a discussion on Demolition Man, if I'm not, is that right, Matt? Yeah, Demolition Man.
Yep.
So, and then we got a couple, I think, interviews that you're working on that we're going to be releasing soon too, as well. So
we got an interview with David Hewlett and Hoon Lee from season 2 and Warrior and a bunch of other crazy TV shows and movies. So, so just so everyone knows, we are paring back our release strategy because we don't have as much time to create content with setting up the new studio and the business. So we're going to be going to one a week. Every Friday, we're going to be releasing new episodes of the podcast. And we're also continuing to do our Patreon content. If you guys want to support us and get exclusive content that we don't release to the public, you can go to saltynerdclub.com, sign up. It's either the $5 tier or the $30 tier, and you get tons and tons and tons of access to our back catalog of Patreon-only episodes. And the Patreon's kind of like where we go and we review like specific TV shows. We've done the original series for Star Trek. We've done the original Buck Rogers in the 25th century, Battlestar Galactica, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Firefly, Doctor Who. The list goes on and on and on. We got tons of content back there. And we're going to continue to put content back there. So if you guys like what we do and you want to support us, sign up for the Patreon. It's really cool. And we're going to start doing YouTube memberships really soon as well. So if you don't like Patreon, you don't want to support that platform, you can come here and support us on YouTube. Although I think YouTube is just as bad, if not worse, than Patreon in terms of like their censorship. That
thought about locals?
I've used locals in the past. I didn't like how they were set up. But Odin, real quick before we get out of here, I want to ask you and Zach's, what do you think of this whole hullabaloo over YouTube retroactively changing their terms of service and punishing channels that have like profanity and video game violence and stuff like that on there? Well,
it's typical YouTube, so I'm not surprised by it whatsoever. And then of course my immediate thought was, well, I'm not impacted because I don't curse on my channel. But I honestly, it's not surprising at all. And it's one of those things too where it's like, well, they're clearly doing it because there must be something going on with ads. That's my assumption, is that they are getting pushback from some of the advertisers that don't want to advertise on channels that have certain content. But again, this is the reason why they should be a lot more transparent about their process and actually work with creators in this process so that you can actually have ads play on your channel that are actually relevant to your content, and maybe even give a little bit more closer interaction between advertisers and content creators. But that would be a pro content creator strategy, and clearly YouTube doesn't care about that.
As someone who's advertised on Google in the past, I can tell you 100% that they do not talk to their advertisers.
Oh, damn.
Because advertisers don't care where their ads show up as long as like their ads are profitable, right? So like I think that a lot of this, and with the release of the Twitter files that Elon Musk has been doing, it's becoming very clear the decision-making process behind a lot of these things is political. And I wouldn't be surprised if this was a change made by outside government agencies putting pressure on Google to make that change, as opposed to the advertisers themselves.
Well, that's just conspiracy nonsense.
What?
Spoiler for the future. Yeah. Conspiracy theories are just spoilers for the future. That's all they are nowadays. Anyway, I want to thank you all for being on here, and appreciate it. Maybe we can get into the YouTube stuff in a future episode of Salty Saturdays. Zax, was there anything you wanted to add to the YouTube stuff before we go?
Yeah, I just think that they just got me for a video I did where they removed the comments. And so for a review I did of Megan, and I don't know why, but they locked off comments and they won't tell me why. I'm demonetized for reused content, even though I don't have any on I've deleted anything that could be even close to considered reuse, and it's all gone. And they just keep saying it's still reused content, but they don't actually check, because it's 3 hours later they tell me I'm not monetized again every month when I try. So they're just doing whatever they want, and there's no explanation required for them, because they're the big fish in this pond. So
yeah, that's always been my problem with Google, is that when they enact new policies, they make it retroactive. So like you could have followed their old policies to a T and been completely compliant. And then as soon as they do new stuff, it's like, oh, we're going back 10 years on your channel and applying this stuff. So like it shouldn't be retroactive if they're going to make a change like that.
Yeah,
it really should.
It makes it strange too, because they can block a video, they can flag a video, they can strike a video. So they know what videos are the issues, but they won't tell the creator. In my case, well, what video was reused you're talking about? I deleted like 150 videos. It's just my live streams now. And they're still saying it's reused. So I don't know.
Here's what it does for me. It makes me want to start pushing Rumble a little bit.
I'm doing Rumble now too, so I dropped that link already on my own behalf. And even Twitch, like I'm going to do some gaming stuff too, because just you might as well try their stuff, and Odyssey as well.
Yeah.
Multi-stream. It's the way to be.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for joining us this Saturday, and tune in next Saturday, same salty time, same salty channel, where we're going to have, hopefully Brian will be back, and we'll have a new guest panelist on with us, and hopefully Odin will be able to join us as well. And we'll be talking about all new terrible stuff ruining our childhoods next week. But until that time, stay salty, my friends.